So it's almost like a Zan and Jaina of the Wonder Twins from the old Super Friends. Like, she could turn into anything she wanted. And he was always like, turn me into a bucket of water so you can carry me. Hey, Internet. It's Paul. It's Matt, the Dork Lords. We are here talking about WandaVision, Episode 8. Previously on. Very apt title. Oh, there she goes. yeah. Okay. All right. Come on up.
She's like, I know how to get on the show.
Okay, come on now. There you go. We open with a flashback to Salem, Massachusetts, 1693. A far younger Agatha is being executed by her coven, including her mother, for practicing dark magic. Doesn't work. She turns their spells against them, seemingly drains their life force, a la snacking on yo magic. Kills everyone, including her mother. We end with Agatha holding the twins hostage, claiming that Wanda was supposed to be just a myth. She's the Scarlet Witch, capable of spontaneous creation through chaos magic. Post-credit scene involves Hayward using the Wanda-powered drone to activate White Vision. Bum, bum, bum. So before we launch into a big discussion about this episode, Paul, what are your thoughts on Episode 8?
I certainly enjoyed it. A lot of effort was put into this one episode because, I'm sure they knew designing it, that Agatha and Wanda would be toe-to-toe, and that they would need to have that function as the sort of place where, the real drama started to build. In the penultimate episode, I'm glad that what Sword is going to unleash is not a bomb strike. That would be boring.
Gotcha. Right. Good point.
Having their own vision is far more interesting. Perhaps my biggest question is if Vision is going to be matted or not.
Do you want me to give you my theory on that?
Oh, yeah. Let's go to the source. Matt?
We'll go to that.
I'm Matt Vision.
I'm matting Vision. Unfortunately, I'd like Vision to be around too, but they just keep dropping this idea of Wanda's truth and that she needs to embrace it. And her truth is that Vision is dead. And I feel like if they turn that around and they're like, nope, actually, that wasn't her truth all along. I think she's going to somehow find a way to keep the twins alive, and that will be her solace. Here's this thing, it's Vision and I, and we created these twins, and I can kind of celebrate his life through them. I think is kind of the way that maybe she'll...
I wonder if what they will do is do what they did in the comics, which is part of the reason why we have a White Vision, is that he comes back, but he doesn't have any memory of their experiences, and therefore, kind of feels like, geez, your behavior during this whole thing has actually been kind of messed up. And so he will sort of not feel like, okay, I don't have any memory of that other stuff, and essentially...
So they have to basically restart their relationship over...
If they restart it.
Right, if they perhaps 2 years from now worth of shows, they reunite in some way. But you're saying,
well, I don't think there's going to be a second season, but
not season. Sorry, I just meant like in the movies or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, the arc.
I mean, that's what I hope. I mean, I guess they could kill him off. I don't feel I
think he goes out taking out White Vision.
It's
I think
possible.
That's the way it works.
Yeah, but yeah. I mean, who knows?
Obviously, it's not a done deal. I don't have any inside knowledge. I'm just saying, I feel like the arc of this is going
They could do
towards...
anything. That might be the likely ending. We'll see.
I know you are in favor of keeping Vision around, and so am I, actually. I mean, I'd love for Vision to be a part of the MCU going forward, but...
Traitor.
Boy, this story... I have betrayed him by matting him. Until I said that, the odds of him dying were like... 55%. Now that I've put that on him, it's like 82%.
Let it be another Delgado. Come on, Delgado.
Okay. So this is somewhat of a this is your lifestyle episode, right? It's like Agatha takes Wanda back through her tragic past.
Yes.
From her parents' death.
Yeah, too bad they didn't have a special guest. Like, oh, I remember when.
That's right. Do you remember this face? Hey, it's Tony Stark. I made the bomb that killed your parents. Yeah. Anyway, so the parents' death, the Stark bomb incident where she and Pietro were hiding under the bed, the Hydra experiments with the Mind Stone. We get Wanda confronting Sword about Vision's body. And then we get up to the creation of Westview. And that's kind of the timeline of events. Because Agatha is trying to figure out how Wanda pulled this off.
Yes.
Which answers a few questions as well. Agatha says that she was attracted to the use of so much magic. The afterglow of all these spells.
Yes.
So Agatha wasn't there from the beginning.
Nope.
She showed up as a result of the incredible use of power to create Westview.
Yes.
She's been like, spell user, maybe I could figure out how to do this. And so that's what's drawn her in. And she's been playing this game the whole time, putting on different costumes, as she says, like costumes and hairstyles. She's like, this was... And we mentioned that a couple episodes ago. Like, this is a really long con. She's really in for this. And she kind of brings that up. Like, yeah, this has been a torture. Just tell me how you do this, you jerk. I mean, this episode has so many important lines of dialogue. It's almost impossible to cover them all. It's like, that was...
yeah, and one of the important things that people might call retconning, but I think you could say that... you could have argued that in a way it was there all along, is that it wasn't that she didn't have powers before and then interacted with the Mind Stone and then got powers. It was really
she definitely had powers ahead of time.
She had powers before, and they were boosted by the Mind Stone.
According to Agatha, she used probability magic to keep the bomb from blowing up, for instance.
Yes.
When she was a little girl.
Yeah, but it does bring a question of if it was Wanda's powers that allowed her to survive interacting with the Mind Stone, is her brother the same in that there's another quality that he has that he shares with Wanda, or did Wanda somehow unconsciously prepare him or make him able to survive the Mind Stone? It could be the backdoor way they introduce mutants.
Yeah, you do get the feeling that if she had that ability, that being a twin, that her twin would have some similar, ability in that way, or special in some way. Yeah, it kind of reminded me a little bit of like her power is like, hey, you can apparently just spontaneously create things. You can alter reality. The other guy's like, and you run fast. So it's almost like a Zan and Jaina of the Wonder Twins from the old Super Friends. Like she could turn into anything she wanted, and he was always like, turn me into a bucket of water so you can carry me. You're like, oh man, the power differential is like, anyway. So
turn size of an ice truck.
Yeah, right. Ice handcuffs. Oh really? Okay, great. I'll turn into a T-Rex and scare everybody off. But no, fine. Oh, ice handcuffs. So similarly, it seems like Wanda got the better end of the deal there. But
if you watch, the X-Men in the Quicksilver in the X-Men universe, that's pretty powerful.
It is. It's actually. You're right. I'm for comedic effect shortchanging him a little bit. It is a very powerful ability, but.
I always think of that when people think, like, when they put him in the whole movie. Like, yeah, then you have to rewrite the ending where it's like, oh, in spite of the fact that he can run so fast, they still need everyone else to fight too.
You're right. You get these things where the powers are so high that you're like, oh, the entire plot was thwarted and we didn't have a movie. Great. Oh, he was so fast, he just solved everything before it happened. And done. Let's start then with the Salem scene, because that's, obviously the first thing we see. And I was kind of wondering how Disney was going to thread this needle, because I believe in the comics, Agatha was part of the Salem witch trials. But here's the thing, Paul.
Yes.
I don't know if you knew this. As it turns out, there were no superpowered, devil-worshipping witches living in Salem. It's shocking. Turns out it was just a whole bunch of people that were murdered by religious extremists for no damn good reason. That's actually what happened. And what? So it would be a little out of touch for Disney to be like...
Maybe they cut the shot where, they do a bird's eye view of the coven, and then just down the road,
right on the other side of the stream, they're hanging all these people. You know, they're just like, I'm innocent. No, the real witches are over there. But yeah, so it would have been a bit out of touch for Disney to be like, well, thank goodness for those Salem witch trials. The only problem is one of them got away.
Yeah.
You know, what they do instead is they say that she's tried by her own coven. I've heard some people say, well, she says in her trial, like, oh, I can be good. That's a con to me. She's
already killed all those other people.
Yep. It's she killed a dog, Paul. There's no coming back. You kill Sparky, you're out.
There have been people who have been hesitant to call her evil, and I guess you could argue, like, if you interpret what they were doing is trying to kill her, then what she did is in self-defense, I guess. But I would say her actions caused her coven and her mother to die, and she doesn't grieve them in any way, shape, or form. I mean, you might say that,
she's happy about it.
She takes the brooch, and maybe that's remembering her mom, but she doesn't seem sad about it at all.
Nope.
More like,
she's not like, oh, what did I have to do? Oh,
like, they're all dead, and I got a brooch.
Cool. Let me just walk away from this. And they're all like husks of bodies because she drained them of their life force, which I'm assuming that maybe there's something where once she figures out how Wanda works, she's going to try to do the same thing with Wanda. It's almost like a Highlander thing, right? Like maybe I kill you and I take your power.
Yeah, maybe. I guess, maybe understanding exactly what her powers are. You don't want to just suck it all up and like, boy, I don't know what I can do.
Yeah, she does say while she's being attacked on the stake that she's like, I can't control it. And she does seem a little surprised when the magic starts, when the blue beams turn purple.
Yes.
Like as though maybe this could be the idea of like if there's a higher force like Nightmare or Mephisto, that force takes over in that moment to save her.
Yeah.
And so she's like, unbeknownst to her, like, oh, check it out. Cool. I have this guardian demon that protects me at all times.
Yeah, I wondered if that was really what they were trying to do, which is expunge a demon or something out of her. Because
were they trying to kill her or take her magic? Yeah.
And one thing I noticed was as it was going on, as they were sort of channeling their energy into her, that the neck was getting really red.
Yep.
Like maybe something was about to or could have come out of her. Because her behavior I guess we didn't see her behavior before.
True.
But, and, they probably, it's a rather short scene, so you don't even get the full impression of, you did this and, you did this action by going above your station and like, well, I bent the rules, like. Yeah,
she says, I didn't break them, I bent them.
Yeah, they bent to my power.
Or something. Like you're like,
it's
okay.
like, we don't know exactly.
That's what a villain says, by the way. But okay.
Before that caused them to realize it, like what was there some like alarm that went off or something? Or,
I mean, it's somewhat reminiscent of Doctor Strange, right? His origin story when he's like learning. And they're like, hey, you can't learn these things or whatever. Like, you should learn this in your own time. And he's eager to go read all the books ahead of time.
Right.
Like, he's trying to, get to the good stuff.
Yeah.
But they obviously don't, kill him for it. I think she's just trying to talk her way out of it in those moments when she's... But you're right. She probably could have picked something better to say in that moment than, I didn't break the rules. I just bent them to my power. Like, that doesn't sound good. No. Know your audience. Right. Know your audience in this situation.
But the other thing that apparently, they made a point of it, which was interesting to me because I wasn't used to thinking of the Scarlet Witch in this way, but apparently the Scarlet Witch is sort of a role or function or, I'm not sure if she takes on something into her, but apparently from what I've seen, I didn't see this in the comics myself, but apparently she comes from a line. I believe her mother was also someone, so I don't know if we're going to see that in the comics. I'm sorry, in this series, that her mother was actually, it just hadn't gotten around to telling her daughter yet.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. Or, let's connect this to the final scene or whatever, which is when Agatha calls her the Scarlet Witch. Notably, she says the Scarlet Witch.
Yes, that's true.
Not a Scarlet Witch.
Right.
She's like, I thought you
True.
were a legend.
Yes,
you use chaos magic. You can spontaneously create, and you're the Scarlet Witch.
Yes.
So that really does put it like, there's this legend that we talk about as in the witch community, that there's this one being that exists that's doesn't have to learn anything, just has all these innate powers, and we all hate that person because we all had to learn runes and crap. I had to read books.
It's another Salieri and Mozart.
Right, yeah. Great analogy. Yeah, she's the Salieri, Wanda's the Mozart. I figured this out. Check it out. Damn you.
Like, did you try? Did you?
Yeah, I just made an entire town, and I put it on. I put the magic on autopilot. What? Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how I did it. Doesn't matter. Whatever. It is a great line when Agatha says, "You know all this stuff. You can do all these things, and you use it to make breakfast for dinner or whatever." Yeah. Which is great. It did occur to me, and maybe this is even from the comics, but I don't know enough about it. But I thought, the way that she says you're the Scarlet Witch, it seems a very condemnatory thing, like you're bad kind of thing. Yeah, that's what I got out of it.
I didn't.
And you didn't get okay. I thought that she was
No.
angry at her for being the Scarlet Witch, perhaps, or you're like, you don't know how dangerous you are. You're a bomb waiting to go off. The Scarlet Witch.
Perhaps it's just that you have power that you don't know how to handle. Is the danger of it? She's trying to say.
Well, what I thought there might be a parallel, and I'm probably reading too much into this, so be it. But I thought, it made me think of the Scarlet Letter. You've got Agatha comes from 17th century Salem, and she has this thing of the Scarlet Witch is this thing that can destroy the world or whatever. Or 17th century, that region, comes Scarlet Letter, which is Hester Prynne. She's unjustly punished by her society, similar to the way the Salem witches were. Anyway, it's just I thought, no, maybe they're trying to make a connection between Scarlet Letter and the Scarlet Witch, perhaps. Anyway, just a thought. Just a little literary tie-in.
Yeah, right. I mean, that would put it in the form of somebody who's acting societally against her and against Wanda, and she doesn't serve that function. She's not. We don't learn that she's associated with any coven since the one that she killed. So her concern for you are not. I mean, she did pose, I guess, in the previous episode. Perhaps you deserve all this stuff that's happening.
Do you think you deserve it, or whatever? Yeah.
Right.
Anyway,
but
I don't know. Just an.
But I think she was just trying to sort of spur insecurities of her. But anyway, so the idea of certainly one of the things that is an added part of that is when Wanda is first interacting with the Soul Stone, it goes off and it goes from
Mind
blue
Stone.
to
Yeah?
the Mind Stone. Yeah, the Mind Stone.
Yeah.
Well, yes, the Mind Stone. You're right. And she sees an apparition of some sort, which might be her, or might just be somebody who looks a lot like her mother.
Yeah, either it would be her in the future, perhaps, or her
Yeah.
mom. If you're saying that there's a legacy of the Scarlet Witch, perhaps it could be you welcome to the legacy of the Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
She's got the little crown, which her Agatha's mom had a crown, which was interesting.
Yeah, she kind of started to get some sort of weird crown there. So
maybe as the leader of a coven, you get I don't know how that works.
Yeah, who knows?
We may hear more about that.
So to the extent that she's going to ascend or officially become the Scarlet Witch, and I feel like, I can't imagine I guess we'll see, whether Agatha is interested in merely taking the power on her own, or if there's some other motivation. I'd be surprised if there was, though.
Yeah, I hear you. It seems like she's got just, how did you do this? I'd like to do that.
Yeah.
What we get is the notion that Agatha deliberately lured Wanda down to the basement so that she become trapped in the runic circle.
Yes.
And so basically Wanda's magic is cut off as long as she's in that basement. And I think there's an important plot point probably coming for this next episode, which is
One of the things I'm wondering, though, is like at the end of the last episode, she sort of, caused Wanda's eyes to go a different color, and so it makes you wonder if this is all in her mind, because at the point when they finished and she broke out of Agatha's house and onto the street where Agatha was keeping the children.
Right, she's already there.
Choking
You're like, wait.
them. Yeah. I mean, obviously they're magic and everything, but it's like, why take her out of the place?
I thought the same thing. I was like, why would you ever let her out of that basement? No, what I'll do is I'll put this really weird noose around the necks of her kids. Yes. That'll be just as good as a place where she can't use magic.
Yeah,
you're right.
Maybe your whole thing is, I'll get you so mad that you start throwing magic at me, and then you think you're going to win, but then I start sucking it out of you.
Ah, good point. Yeah, I can convert it. Maybe. But the important plot point I think that came out is when Agatha's kind of half teaching Wanda about magic. Like, you don't know this stuff?
Yeah.
And so she says, like, hey, look, the magic in the circle will only work for the witch who created the runes.
Yes.
I'm like, oh, that's important, I think. Sure. I could imagine, for instance, here's a theory. Wanda, because Wanda did get a look at the runes at least. If her memory is good enough, she could basically place those runes around the entire Westview hex, and then she would essentially, I think, make Agatha's powers obsolete.
Oh, that's interesting.
While in Westview, perhaps. Anyway, just saying that might be a way that she defeats Agatha, perhaps. I was right about the family watching sitcoms. I thought maybe that was Wanda's introduction to, or her association with happy times. A happy family was, hey, we used to sit around and watch sitcoms together. And also the fact that we see that there's like fighting going on outside, it is even more relevant because it's like the horrors of the real world are just out there and we can ignore them by watching sitcoms. Much like the Hex, Westview, I can ignore the real world.
I thought it was interesting that they were watching the Walnut episode of the Dick Van Dyke Show. Some of the interesting things I found, since I'm a big Dick Van Dyke fan.
Sorry, go for it, sir.
That I know about that particular episode is that it was directed by Jerry Paris, who played Jerry Helper on the show, and he went on to direct a lot. Jerry Paris did, including the episode in Happy Days when Mork from Ork was introduced, which is the same basic story where Richie is being plagued by everyone who's coming after him, and Mork from Ork is there to sort of destroy the Earth. But in the end, it's a dream. But the episode was so popular because Robin Williams was so entertaining that they did another episode where it was revealed that actually Mork decided not to destroy the Earth and decided to stay on the Earth, and he went to the modern times in the 70s.
Oh, okay. They retconned the origin. I see. So you're saying that impacts WandaVision in terms of it's a parallel to the idea of superpowered beings that could destroy the Earth or something?
Well, in the story, they basically say, like, okay, these problems that exist, they end up fine at the end. So in that one, it looks like they're being invaded, but it turns out that it was all a dream.
I got you.
So
well, certainly they're not going to have her just wake up from a dream. Please don't do that,
no,
MCU.
They're not going to do that. No.
But you're saying that perhaps that might indicate that everything's going to be okay, is what you're saying.
No, I'm just saying that's just further amplifying the theme. Yeah. The theme is of why she's, there's a reason why she chose that particular episode. Most of the time, you didn't have that extreme example of something that seems threatening, and then, it turns out that it's okay.
One of those important lines we talked about is when she and Vision are watching Malcolm in the Middle. Thing falls, and he's like, "Oh, is he okay?" She's like, "Oh, he's fine." Because like, how do you know? Well, this isn't that kind of show.
Yeah.
So I think the implication of that is this is that kind of show where people who get hurt stay hurt. Is my thought, but perhaps not. I was also right that Wanda did not ghoulishly animate
Yes.
Vision to treat him like a puppet and
Yes,
have
yes,
sex
yes,
with him.
yes, yes.
It sounded
No,
weird
she
to
gave
me.
birth to him.
So but I had thought that she buried him, which is what she intended to do apparently when
Yes.
she went to the
Yes.
sword. But Hayward lied. So that's he lied to the show.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, and I guess you could argue that she lost interest. Well, I mean, once she realized that the thing that she cared about wasn't there.
Yeah, she
was
says, I
willing
can't
to-
feel him.
She was willing to let them keep him to do what they wanted, even though, I mean, to say that he doesn't want to be involved in weaponry, that's exactly what they're doing.
That's a good point. Like, because I also got the feeling, we see that there's this letter. It's a deed that Vision obviously had prepared before the events of Infinity War.
Yeah, people are getting confused. Like, what did it have at the time? She was, running around or whatever. Like, yeah, he probably found it himself because he wasn't on the run. He was a part of the good guys. So they would get time off, get together, and then they'd go back to the Avengers or for her, Captain America and all the Renegades.
Yep, that's true. But it occurred to me that, so it's 5 years later. And she even mentions at one point when she's talking to Hayward, I think, or somebody at the sword, she says, like, I'm his next of kin.
Yes.
We also hear earlier in the show, episodes ago, that Vision had a DNR. So it sounds like he had a will.
Right.
And I'm guessing maybe in that will, he made her next of kin. And he probably, maybe in his estate, as it turned out, that's how she ended up getting this letter after his death.
That could be.
Anyway, but point being, you're right. She decides that she can't feel him anymore, so even if she brought him back, he wouldn't be the same. So she leaves him, but she does leave him to their experiments.
Yes,
That's a good
she
point.
does. Yeah, she
doesn't say, hey, by the way, enough with the things. To stop with the... Here's a thought I had. Is like, so Hayward lied about Wanda taking Vision from Sword.
Yes.
But there were a lot of people that witnessed that event. Like, how does he keep that lie secret? Like, were there it just seemed like she entered without the body, she left without the body,
Right.
very publicly so.
Right.
It seems like there'd be somebody around from Sword who's like, no, actually, she didn't take the body. We still have it.
Well,
What
yes.
are you talking about?
Commanding officer. Yes, commanding officer. How dare you lie?
Can I get that promotion, sir?
Yeah.
I like the comment, that Hayward says, look, we can't just let you bury $3 billion worth of vibranium. Which is a good point. Somebody would probably dig that up to sell it.
Yeah, right. Which is an argument for her just taking it, and then it's like, okay, no one knows where he is.
Right.
She could have actually destroyed him, all the bits of him, if she wanted to, and then there would be nothing left for anyone. Sort of like Terminator 2.
Put him in a vat. Hayward, I think, is pretty obviously trying to push her into resurrecting him, Vision. Right? He's like, oh, is that the only thing you're here for, to say goodbye? Because some of your powers, you could probably try to bring him back if you wanted.
Why
don't you go take a look at him?
I hadn't thought about it from that. I hadn't thought about it from that perspective.
I think that's why he agrees to talk to her. I think that's why he brings her in to take a look. I think he thinks when she sees Vision laying out on the table, she'll be encouraged to try to bring him back. And they've been trying to bring him back and they can't. Right. So when she goes down and is like, oh, I can't feel him, I think it shocks Hayward. I think when she's like, okay, I'm not. You're right. I'm out. He's probably, no, wait.
I mean, I don't know that it necessarily shocks Hayward.
I'm just saying he was hoping she was going to bring him back.
He may have been thinking that, but I don't know. I don't know if he was thinking that far ahead. He may have been.
Okay. All right. I just get that feeling. Because otherwise, you're taking a real chance bringing her back there, showing him this body, and then being kind of callous about it. Like, I can bring her back online.
Yeah, the thing that I was thinking is like, you could either decide to get into a battle that you'd lose, or, you can just let her do what she's going to do and then see what happens and try to deal with it from there. And it certainly worked out for him, not only with her leaving and then, but because what she did, they were able to get a device from her that had the weird power that they could use to bring him back.
Right.
Now presumably it's going to be the, I mean, obviously it's going to be Vision fighting Vision, but
Yeah.
the Vision will be trying the White Vision or the robot White Vision is going to be trying to kill
Mechagodzilla.
Wanda because that's somebody who he doesn't control. So he doesn't like powered beings, and now he's got his own Sentinel basically.
Right. It seems like that would be if Hayward was going to give a directive.
Yeah.
He's already seen that Vision, we'll call it the Westview Vision.
Yeah.
Westview Vision was trying to leave, and Hayward even says, "Oh, he really wants to get out of there," which suggests, I think, maybe Hayward interprets that as, okay, that he's not on Wanda's side. Is maybe what he was in that moment.
Yeah, maybe so.
So he's probably going to direct White Vision, Robot Vision, to try to take out Wanda. That makes sense to me. I thought that the whole Wanda-affected drone being the power supply was a bit clunky as a plot device. Like, that was convenient, but so be it. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's not a deal breaker. It was just like, in an otherwise pretty elegant story, that felt like maybe a weaker link that they could have figured out a different way to power White Vision,
Perhaps.
Agatha confirms that Pietro is not Pietro, unless she's lying, which she could be, but she says that Pietro, she calls him Fietro.
Yeah. Now, she says that she possessed him.
Correct.
So it doesn't, she doesn't necessarily know where he came from.
Right. He wasn't just a townsperson, maybe, that she possessed. You're saying perhaps Wanda brought him in and then she possessed Pietro.
Yeah.
The only thing is, it sounds like, that would be a huge coincidence. Because what it sounds like is she's like, hey, I wanted to bring back your Pietro, but necromancy wasn't an option because he's on another continent and he's full of holes. So I just possessed a guy and made you think it was him, but you were so convinced, ready to meet him, that you believed it.
Yeah,
I guess in the scenario where it was already Pietro, and it would just be kind of
I guess if it's not Pietro, then it means that this is probably the last time we'll see Evan Peters, which is possible. They might decide, we had a Quicksilver, and we'd prefer him to be dead. And so now he's here as an Easter egg because everybody knows he was Pietro in this other universe, and we'll find a way to bring back all the other ones. I just wonder if I know you were of the opinion and the hope that this was the Fox Pietro, and then we could just move on from there. And I agree that it would be, for going forward, it would be nice if this was a guy. And it's not a done deal. He could still be Quicksilver. I think he still could.
It just feels like the odds are that if we just take Agatha's comments at face value, you would think, oh, it's not actually Pietro.
Right. Because either this is where it begins, and in what way does it begin? The whole multiverse thing in WandaVision, or it only begins in Doctor Strange. 3, and there we see the multiverse. So, up until now, there really hasn't been anything that's indicated a multiverse, except Vision perhaps being taken from there, a multiverse, or Quicksilver. So
the one aspect that might lend towards the idea that it actually is Quicksilver is the idea that he has Quicksilver's powers. Right. Agatha says, "Oh, I just use him as eyes and ears," but it was actually that guy. Is it possible that Agatha could give him powers? I suppose, but we don't see like all the other townsfolk using powers, right? It's like this individual, for whatever reason, is able to be a speedster. Seems a little odd, but anyway, just throwing that out there.
And she made her son. Wanda made her son. Because this is all her thing, basically, and presumably...
The ultimate sad ending would be if both Vision and the twins are no more at the end of the show. I don't think that's a thing. I think one or the other. My guess is Vision dies, sacrifices himself to take out White Vision, and the twins somehow survive this, alternate reality.
The thing that appealed to years ago, Elizabeth Olsen said the thing that appealed to her about the comic, was the storyline where it's like, oh, your kids are fake, and she's so overcome with grief that she goes crazy, basically. So you're saying that, but they're not going to do that.
I kind of feel like they're not going to do that, but you're right. It's still on the table for sure. That's still an option. I feel like
because certainly, if they're going to be in the West Coast Avengers or the Young Avengers or whatever, they'd have to be older, and so they'd have to decide, I guess, to get older to protect her. And I think it's more likely that they'll die. It drives her crazy, and then multiverse is breached, and then we get the older versions of these characters into the MCU.
Okay. Okay. So you're saying that the ending could be, as you describe it, maybe Vision and the twins both cease to exist for whatever reason. It drives her crazy, and so temporarily she becomes a villain, maybe, for future, like, for instance, the Multiverse of Madness or something like that. We're pretty sure she's in that movie, for instance.
Yeah.
Are you suggesting that she might be, like, an antagonist or something in that film?
I don't know. She might end up beginning something that they had to stop, or, maybe Agatha takes the power of the Scarlet Witch, and she, is the catalyst that causes the multiverse to sort of go crazy, and that's what Doctor Strange has to resolve.
Okay, I think we're in perhaps a little disagreement on this. That's awesome. We'll find out in episode. I think the twins will survive. You at least are pondering the idea that perhaps the twins don't survive.
Yep.
So let's talk then, what do we think about, I feel like there might be 2 post-credit scenes here. I feel like there will be a reveal of the big bad, but not until a post-credit scene. And my money is on Nightmare. But I feel like we'll see. I think Agatha will survive this. She'll be defeated, but will survive. And somehow we'll have some kind of a punishment or a talking down to a scolding from Nightmare as a result in a post-credit scene. I also feel like it makes sense to have Doctor Strange show up, but I don't know how you can have him show up. I mean, I can imagine him showing up in the actual episode, but I feel like it makes it too crowded. So it seems maybe more likely that Doctor Strange shows up in a post-credit scene to help volunteer to teach Wanda, something like that, like a little like that. So I think there might be 2 post-credit scenes. That's my thought. What do you think on that score, good sir?
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is directly supposed to lead into, the Multiverse of Madness, and so. I don't think he'll be over himself as a mentor. I think he needs to fix the problem. I think this is all leading to that schism and, people from other dimensions or alternate universes sort of coming to Earth or whatever. And so that's what he has to solve. And as a result of that, we're going to get a lot of people who weren't on Earth before, who were in other franchises.
So do you think there will be a scene where we see that happening? Like, in other words, people we know from other universes showing up and like, oh shoot, that's what's happening?
I kind of think that he's the beginning of that. That Quicksilver is the beginning of that. Oh, that's okay, but it's not just one person now, it's a whole bunch of people.
Okay. All right. So in other words, I mean, for instance, Michael Fassbender shows up and you're like, oh, and whoever, or like, people.
I don't think they're going to show up in this story. I think they're going to have some people that are going to appear in the Multiverse of Madness, and as a result of that, some of the people are going to be I think they might end up recasting some of the people, some of the characters. So we'll see that version or whatever, and so that's what I think is going to happen. But that'll be in Multiverse of Madness. I don't think we're getting too many.
In this.
I don't think it'll be in this, no.
Okay. All right. Well, so there's still a lot to be determined, figured out. I feel confident they're going to stick the landing on this. They've done so well up till now. This show is really compelling, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they stick the landing coming up this week. So with that, Paul, thank you as always, good sir. Appreciate it. And we'll be back talking about the finale of WandaVision next time. Bye, everybody.